ones, welcome to your practice. This is just a lovely practice in and of itself, but it's also a practice that focuses on cultivating ease, well-being and health for the lower back, the lumbar spine. So you'll need something that you can use as a strap, a yoga belt, or anything else in your home that you might be able to use, even a towel. You can use a towel, and we'll get started straight away, laying back on our backs. So let us come down and rest on our backs, knees bent, soles of feet on the mat, and we'll have the feet about hip-width distance to begin with. And we'll approach the practice today in two different ways. We'll look at mobilizing the hips, creating a little bit of mobility through the full circumference of the hips. Because if the hips are really immobile, sometimes that means that we will move the spine too much to compensate for the lack of mobility in the hips. And then we'll also look at just building a beautiful grounded strength to support our spine through the full circumference of our center and through the legs too, the back side of the hips in particular. So let's just take a moment, and you might allow the hands to just rest on the low belly, the front of the pelvis, and we'll find neutral spine here. So we'll begin by actually coming out of neutral, and you might just roll the pelvis back and flatten or press the lower back down onto the mat. And then go too far the other way, roll the pelvis forward and exaggerate the arch of the lower back up away from the mat. And then we'll just split the difference. Right? So just find halfway between the two where there is a subtle natural curve of the lower spine up away from the mat. You might even just bring the fingertips onto the mat and feel that you can actually slide the fingertips underneath the lower back a little bit as you maintain that natural neutral curve of the low back here. And so we'll keep that now, and let's take a hold of our strap. We'll pick up the right foot and bring the strap around the ball of the right foot and reach the right foot up to the sky. We'll hold both sides of the strap in the hands and be really honest with yourself here. You'll feel that if you pull the leg in too close, the lower back will press down onto the mat. And that's not wrong, but it's not the goal today. So we might allow the leg to be just a little bit further away from us today in order to maintain the neutral, natural curve of the lower back, just slightly up off the mat. And see how that feels. And while we're here, know that you're just lengthening and opening through the back seam of the leg. So we're mobilizing through the back of the right hip right now. And we'll keep the neutral curve of the spine, keep the spine stable and still as we start to reach the left leg away from us on the floor. And really awaken the left leg. Press the back of the left thigh, the left calf, the left heel down into the mat. And there's a sense of reaching through the soles of the feet here. And now let's keep everything pretty still and stable here in the spine. So maintaining the stability here, and we'll start to warm up and awaken our center. So let's begin to hover or lift the left leg just a little bit up off the mat, maybe 10 centimeters or so. And then we'll let go of the strap and just let the strap hang and reach the fingertips to the ceiling, palms facing one another. Hands shoulder width distance. And keeping our center still and stable. Now let's reach the arms up overhead, fingertips reaching back. And the hands are hovering up off the mat. And just take a breath or two here. Know that you can always release or come out early if you need to. One more full breath in. And on the exhale, let's bring the hands back to the strap. Lower the left leg back down onto the mat. And then we'll release. Bend right knee, release the strap. And we'll switch sides. So let's bring the strap around the ball of the left foot, reach the left foot to sky, and find neutral again. Keep the right knee bent for now, sole of right foot on mat, and be really honest with yourself, right? So that might mean that your left leg isn't so close to your face today. We allow it to come a little further away. So you're feeling the lower back, the lumbar spine, just sweetly lifting away from the mat and staying in its natural curve. And then as you're ready, keep that, and we'll reach the right leg onto the mat away from us. And as you awaken the right leg and anchor down through the back of the right leg, you'll feel the right knee facing or spinning to face straight up to the sky. And there's a sense of the top of the left thigh reaching away from you towards the foot end of the mat. And the top of the right thigh, the thigh of the straight leg, drawing back up into the pelvis. And then when you're ready, let's hover the right leg, and you'll start to feel things change a little in your center. Maintain that stability of your center and your spine, and reach the fingertips to sky. And then we'll reach the arms up overhead. And see if you can steady the breath, smooth, even breath, breathing all the way down into the lower ribs on the back body, so the low back ribs. And take another full breath in. And on the out breath, lift the hands to the strap, lower the right leg, release the left foot from the strap, and pop the strap off to one side. Let's bend the knees, roll to a side, and press ourselves up onto hands and knees, all fours, tabletop. And as we come onto tabletop, hands and knees, just place the hands right underneath the shoulders, knees under hips. And we'll move the spine a little here. So as you're ready, on the in-breath, let's roll the sitting bones back, lift the tail, allow the belly to drop to earth, draw the chest forward in this back bend, cow pose. And as you exhale, let's go the other way. Curl the tail under, roll the sit bones back and down and round through the spine. And we'll do one or two more. And find your own rhythm, find your own pace. Next round of cat-cow, let that be the last round for now. Curling back into cat pose, rounding through the spine, feeling that flexion of the spine, the rounding and forward folding of the spine. And then let's find neutral here in tabletop, about halfway between cat and cow. We're not looking to flatten the lower back today. We're looking to allow that sweet curve of the lower back in towards the body. So just do your best to find the balance here. Front ribs are still gently drawing into the body, but not so much that the lower back flattens here. And now let's keep that stability of our center as we allow the limbs to move freely around center. So let's start with the arms. Inhale, reach the right fingertips forward and up. And exhale to lower. And left side, inhale, left fingertips reach forward, lift the left arm. And exhale, lower Let's do one more to each side. Inhale, right fingertips, reach forward, lift the right arm. Exhale, lower. Inhale, left fingertips, left hand, left arm. Exhale, lower. Okay, we'll add the leg now. Inhale, right arm reaches forward and up. And exhale, reach the left leg back and lift the left leg up. See if you can maintain that stability. And let's just stay an extra breath or two here and really feel the left little toe spinning to point down towards the mat. Left hip point facing down towards the mat too. Take another in breath. And on the out breath, let's lower. Right hand, left knee back to earth. Inhale, left arm reaches forward and up. Exhale, slide the right leg back and reach the right leg up. And once again, there's that sense of the back of the pelvis staying pretty level and not needing to collapse the front body down towards earth. There's a lifting of the front body away from earth and maintaining that lovely stability through the spine. One more in breath and exhale. Let's release, left hand down, right knee down. And let's do that with the breath now. So inhale, just the arm, right arm reaches forward and up. Exhale, left leg reaches back and up. Take an in breath. And exhale to lower. Second side, inhale, left arm forward and up. Exhale, right leg reaching back and lifting up. Inhale to stay here. Exhale to lower. One more each side. Inhale, right arm. Exhale, left leg. Inhale to stay. Exhale to lower. Last one. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, right leg. Inhale here. Exhale to lower. Now stay on all fours. Inhale, keep neutral spine, tuck the toes under. And as you exhale, let's hover the knees. Lift the knees about 10 centimeters or so up off the mat. So we've got this beautiful engagement around the full circumference of our center like a beautiful cylinder, front, sides and back. And it's almost as though you've got this sense of a silk scarf wrapping around your center and gently cinching in, right and left sides to center, front to back, and the lower back staying pretty neutral. Take one more in breath. And on the exhale today, let's move slowly, transition beautifully and slowly slide the hips back through space towards the heels. Keep the knees bent. And keeping the knees bent, start to lift the hips up and back into space into a bent knee downward facing dog. And even if you can straighten the legs in downward dog, let's keep the knees bent today so we can have this sense of the top of the thighs and the pelvis reaching up and back into the space behind you, so that your spine is just beautifully suspended as it pours out of the pelvis towards earth. And you can really feel that you're maintaining and sustaining that neutral, natural curve of the lower back into the body here. One more in breath. And then as you exhale, let's transition back to that hovering tabletop rock. Rock the weight forward towards the hands and lower the knees. Hover the knees up off the mat. Take an in-breath here, just one in-breath. And on the exhale, moving slowly again, like you're moving through honey. Slide the hips back towards the heels. And start to raise the hips through space towards down dog, but keeping a beautiful bent knee
downward facing dog. Take an in-breath here. And you might let the exhalation go out of the mouth. Okay, let's come off the hands now. So on your next exhalation, step your right foot forward between the hands and lower the left knee onto the mat. And we'll come back to this idea of mobilizing the hips. So both hands to front thigh, and we're going to look to find a little more length through the front of the left hip and thigh, our hip flexors there. So let's lift the hands to prayer and thumbs to sternum, and lift the chest into the thumbs and press the back foot firmly down into the mat. And the back toes can be tucked or they might be untucked, just whatever's comfortable for you, but back foot's firmly pressing down. And then when you're ready, let's start to lean the hips and the spine together, forward and down. Back foot still pressing firmly into the mat, chest or breastbone lifting up into the thumbs. And sometimes we can practice asana where we allow the hips to be really heavy and low, and there might be a kind of arching of the lower back, a lifting of the chest and a back bending, and that can be a beautiful way to practice. But today, for the sake of today's practice and building stability, a grounded strength around our center and mobilizing the hips, we'll stay away from that. Find the lengthening of the tail down towards the mat behind you, the pressing of the back foot, the lifting of the chest. Let's interlace the hands, turn the palms forward and reach the arms overhead. And as you reach the arms up, really get a sense of the back ribs lifting up out of the lower back, like you're giving yourself more space to breathe into the kidney area. Another breath. And then we'll exhale, release hands to mat, and let's step to plank pose here. Right foot steps back. And in plank, we can practice plank different ways. We can practice plank where we really curl the tail under and flatten the lower back. But today, allow the sitting bones to just lift just a little so you can maintain that natural, neutral curve of the lower back. It's a balancing act. It can take practice. Take an in-breath. And on the out-breath, bend the knees, shift the hips back as you press the hands into the mat, and lift the hips back up into that beautiful bent knee, downward facing dog. And this time in downward dog, let's keep our left knee bent, but straighten the right leg. So as the legs are doing different things now, left knee's bent, right leg straight, can you feel that both sides of the spine, right and left sides, are evenly long here? And then let's switch sides, right knee bent, left leg straight. Both sides of the spine evenly long, and front and back surface of the spine too, evenly long. And then you might play with reaching both legs towards straight and downward facing dog for a moment. But if that means that the pelvis rolls back, the tail tucks under, and you start to round into the lower back and come out of neutral, then you'll just be really honest with yourself and bend the knees enough that you can start to feel yourself be able to return to neutral spine. You'll feel the pelvis roll forward over the tops of the thighs and find that lovely natural neutral curve. Take another breath here. Let's go, second side. Left foot steps forward, right knee to mat, both hands to front thigh. Lift the torso. When you're ready, hands to Anjali Mudra, and we'll lift the chest and press the back foot down. As you're ready, start to shift the hips and the spine a little forward through space. Interlace the hands, turn the palms forward, reach the hands forward, and lift the arms up. And there can be, for some of us, this tendency, myself included, to want to lift the front ribs, allow them to splay forward and lean back. But today, as we reach up, let's think really long, the full circumference of the rib basket, lifting up out of the lumbar spine, out of the lower back, up away from the pelvis. One more full breath. And let's exhale and release, hands down and step to plank. Last plank of the practice today. Take a breath. And we'll lower slowly onto the mat. So now we'll play with a little bit more overt back body strength, because for many of us we tend to be weaker through the back seam of the body. And those muscles are so important for well-being, health, and ease in the lower back, holding us upright. So let's reach the arms forward, palms face down. Keep the head lifted, but the back of the neck long as you look down onto the mat or the floor, just slightly forward of you or in front of you. And let's raise the right arm and the left leg. So we work on this cross diagonal. And next exhalation, lower right arm and left leg. Inhale, left arm, right leg. Exhale, lower. Inhale, right arm, left leg. We'll just continue like this. Exhale, lower. Inhale, left arm, right leg. Exhale, lower. And we'll pick up the pace. Right arm, left leg. Left arm, right leg. So it's a little bit of yoga for the brain too. And you can just keep the breath even, steady, smooth here as you pick up the pace. Keep swimming with me. A few more moments. And when you're ready, let's release. Relaxed. Bend the elbows. Elbows wide, stack the hands. Rest the legs down on the mat. And soften any gripping through the backs of the hips for a moment. And let's take the opportunity to play with one more back body strengthener today. So let's this time interlace the hands, lower the forehead to the mat, cup the back of the skull with the hands and elbows wide. And elbows can be lifting away from the mat already. Or keep the tops of the feet anchored. And on the in-breath, lift just the head and the upper body. And you'll probably find that you don't move far. And as you exhale, let's lower forward all the way down to the mat. We'll repeat that. Inhale, lift head and chest, elbows wide. Exhale, lower. And again. Inhale, press the head up into the interlaced hands. Exhale, lower. Last one. Inhale to lift up. We'll stay here for the exhale. Keep the elbows lifting wide and float the legs. Breathe. One more full breath in. And then we'll exhale, release. Stack the hands on the mat. Rest the head or one ear on the backs of the hands. Let the feet come back down to earth and soften again. Good. Let's slide the hands back alongside the chest. Curl the toes, press to all fours. And let us transition now to come and lay on our backs. Knees bent, soles of feet on the mat. And we'll play with rolling bridge here. It's just a beautiful way to continue to cultivate that strength through the back seam of the body and length through the front of the body. So we can tend to, if we sit a lot during the day, to get short and tight through the front and long and weak through the back. So let's rest the arms alongside the body, and on the in-breath, press into the feet and just roll up the spine, curl the tail up, lifting sequentially up the spine into bridge pose and lowering back down again. And as you roll up and down the spine, you might marry the movement with the breath, inhaling to rise and exhaling to lower. And the next time that you rise, let us stay there together, lifted in bridge pose. Feel the feet anchoring evenly into the mat. So we're creating this grounded strength through the legs, in particular through the backs of the legs and the back of the hips. And then you might step the shoulders in underneath you. So it's like you're standing on shoulders. Your shoulders have become an extra set or pair of feet too. And then what would happen if you kept the pelvis really steady and level and still, shifted the weight into the left foot and just picked up the right foot just a little and hovered it up off the mat. And then lowered the right foot to the mat and picking up the left foot. And lowering the left foot, picking up the right foot, lowering right foot, picking up left foot, lower left foot. One more, pick up the right foot. This time extend the right foot forward, right thigh still parallel with the left thigh. See if you can keep that right hip the same height as the left hip. Hug the outer left hip in towards the center line of your mat. And then let's bend the right knee, sole of right foot to mat. Take a break if you need, right? Always listening into what you need. Or lift left foot, come with me. Reach left foot forward. And that left hip might want to drop, so you're really focusing on seeing if you can keep it lifted. And the right hip might want to swing to the right, so hugging the outer right hip in. And then let's bend the left knee, sole of left foot to mat. Take an in-breath. And on the out-breath, we'll roll all the way down. And pause a moment here. Take a breath. And let's return now just to close the practice to finding this mobility and ease in the hips so that we don't need to compensate or overcompensate with the spine for a lack of mobility in the hips. So we'll pick up the feet, separate the knees, lift the soles of the feet to the ceiling. Happy baby. And if you're holding the feet today, bring the arms inside the legs so that the knees can stay separating to the side and you've got release through the back of the thighs and the inside of the thighs, right? And if that's a lot for you today, then you might just reach the arms around outside the legs and hold the backs of the thighs. And whatever your variation, let's rock a little side to side. So you're rocking over those muscles of the back that you've just been awakening, engaging, and working. Another breath or two here. And then let us release, soles of feet to sky, and stretch the backs of the knees, yawn the backs of the knees, open a moment, and then we'll come into thread the needle, right ankle to top of left thigh. Bend the left knee, reach the hands through the thighs and hold the front of the left shin or the back of the left thigh. Let it just be easeful for you here. Let it kind of feel delicious, that sweet release for the outer hip. Sometimes we can use that right elbow to gently press that right knee out to the side. And let's let that go. Reach the legs to sky again. Reaching through the heels and the soles of the feet, and we'll switch sides. Another breath. And last time, release. Stretch the feet up to the sky. And then we'll bend the knees, soles of feet to mat, and let's either stretch the legs out long if that's comfortable for the lower back, but for some of us it's not. So we might just keep the knees bent, feet wider than the hips, knees falling in toward one another, hands resting wherever's comfortable, and just take a moment to pause. Feeling the placement of each beautiful segment of your spine like a pearl necklace, just resting on earth, allowing ourselves to be held by earth, perhaps tracing the awareness from the sacrum at the very base of the spine, all the way up each precious segment of the lower back, the mid-back, the upper back, the neck, all the way up to the back of the skull. Allowing the organs of the body, the lungs, the heart, the abdominal contents to just settle back towards the front surface of the spine. Soft face, an easy breath. Another moment or two here. And if you can stay longer today and take a few more moments of precious rest, then please do. But if you know that you need to move on, then gently rolling up over to one side and using the hands to press you sweetly up to a comfortable seat. And just sitting comfortably, you might lift the hands, fold the palms, hands in Anjali Mudra, and bow the head to the fingertips. And knowing that you have mobilized the hips and built grounded strength to support the lower back. Taking a final moment to wish yourself well. Peace, peace, peace. Thanks for practicing all the way to the end. Every practice I offer is possible thanks to the support of my patrons. So if you'd like to continue to support me as well as access full-length practices, meditations and pranayama, then sign up on Patreon. Thanks.